This is all your fault. My youngest daughter screamed as she destroyed my birthday celebration. And in that moment, I finally realized I'd spent years raising everyone but myself. I'm Ava, 39, in Columbus, Ohio. Last Sunday was my birthday, nothing fancy. Backyard string lights, a Costco sheet cake with strawberries, barbecue trays, and family. My girls, Harper, 15, and Riley, 12. Harper's steady, organized, honor roll kid. Riley's impulsive, dramatic, sugar-obsessed since preschool. Our history is a mosaic of small disasters that never felt small to the person they happened to. Cookies vanished before guests arrived, candles blown out, as a prank, my good blouse borrowed, and returned freckled with marinara. A handmade gift improved with glitter glue until it looked contagious. We tried timeouts, grounding, sticker charts, even a school counselor when pantry raids turned into classroom meltdowns. Consequences slid off like rain on a waxed car. I promised myself this year would be calm. One cake for me, cupcakes for everyone, a short toast. Morning behaved, until Riley decided Harper always gets special treatment. It started with eye rolls, then muttering at the island. By noon she was crying about everything. The playlist, who frosted cupcakes, who bought the sparklers. I should have recognized the fuse burning. Guests trickled in. Jenna propped her phone on a mason jar to FaceTime the cousins in Dayton. Our across-the-fence neighbors wandered over with a six-pack and their toddler. My mom arrived with potato salad like a peace offering in a Tupperware that has outlived 2 marriages. Riley hovered near the dessert table, eyes on the sheet cake as if it were a countdown clock. "First slice is mine," she announced, chin raised. "To make it fair. After the toast," I said, keeping my voice light. "Cupcakes are for starters. Cakes for the finale." She went statue still. "You love Harper more," she whispered. No accusation has ever been louder. Before I could answer, doorbell, hugs, a wave of happy birthdays washed over the patio. I turned to greet the Millers at the gate. Behind me, an inhale of collective shock sliced the air. I spun in time to watch Riley sweep her forearm through the cake. It left the table like a snowplow throwing slush. White frosting, red strawberries, a slip and slide of sugar skidding across pavers. The sound was a wet thud followed by the smaller, meaner patter of fruit rolling under chairs. Then, like a starting pistol, phones. Gasps came with the little chime of camera shutters. Riley grabbed the balloon garland and stomped. Pop, pop, pop. She shrieked something about how I never choose her. Harper's hands flew to her mouth. My mother's face folded into the look I know from funerals. "Riley," I said, calm because rage would be gasoline. "Pause. Bedroom. Now. Make me," she shot back, eyes shining with tears she had primed like a sprinkler system. She started pacing, holding her phone high, thumb tapping. "This family hates me. Watch this. Live." I could see the tiny red dot reflected in her pupils. She hip-checked a folding table. Potato salad went airborne in a grotesque slow motion, landing in damp clumps across the lawn. Someone laughed too loudly because they were scared. Someone else said, "Girl, stop." Nobody moved. The patio suddenly felt like a stage, and I was both the wronged lead and a bad director who'd lost control of her actors. Our new neighbor, the one with the drone and the opinions, angled his phone for a clean shot. "This is wild," he said to no one, already narrating. "Columbus drama, y'all. Please put your phones down," I said to the grown-ups, not the children. House rule. No filming minors. If you already filmed, delete it. "It's a party," Drone Man said, shrugging. "Public. This is my yard," I said. "It's private." He smirked like a loophole. People didn't lower their phones, but some looked guilty while not stopping, which is a skill now. Jenna slipped to my side and whispered, "Do you want me to get her phone?" "No," I said too quickly. "Not in front of all these people." I wasn't going to turn spectacle into struggle. The line between discipline and theater is thinner than frosting on a cake that's already dead. Harper edged toward Riley, palms up. "Hey, come inside with me?" "We can." "Don't touch me." Riley recoiled, the front camera catching a perfect, undistorted close-up of her pain. She knew angles. She always has. I took a breath because breathing is the only thing that can't be screenshotted. Riley, I said softly, I'm not choosing Harper. I'm choosing basic courtesy. Go cool off. We'll talk. You never talk. You just punish. Her voice wobble broke on the last word. The comments on her live floated up in cartoon bubbles. They're so mean, OMG, is that Costco cake lol. Hearts bloomed across my child like stickers. Behind me, chairs scraped. My mom started to pick strawberries off the stones with the hem of a napkin, like she could fix the day if she could just make the ground less red. The miller's toddler stood inches from a fallen balloon, chanting pop, pop, pop to himself in awe. Mr. Miller put his phone away and started helping my mom. A woman from Jenna's book club muttered, "Kids these days," which didn't help anyone. "Everyone," I said, turning to the grown-ups. "If you're filming, I need you to stop. If you can help, I need a broom and trash bags. If you can't, I need space." The room without walls rearranged. Two neighbors stepped forward, one to fetch towels, one to block Drone Man's angle with her body. Another, the quiet teacher from 2 houses down, rested a hand lightly on Harper's shoulder and steered her inside. I watched my older daughter move like a sleepwalker, careful not to step on strawberries. Her throat was working like she had a speech she couldn't swallow. Riley, seeing her audience reassigning itself to janitorial work, doubled down. She lifted the tray with skewers and hot dogs, wobbled it in midair like a high-wire act. "Maybe now you'll notice me," she said, and that was the first true thing. "I notice you," I said, "all the time. Enough to know you're drowning in 12 and you're grabbing anything that floats, even a camera." I didn't project. I said it for her, not the crowd. Her lip trembled. For a flicker, I thought we were pivoting toward sense. Then she hurled the tray toward the grass. A hot dog skidded under the grill. Potato salad splashed my sandals. My mother made a small sound, the kind you make when you drop a glass heirloom. "Bedroom," I repeated. "Last time." Riley stared at me at the phones at Harper's retreating back. She swallowed, set her jaw in that little soldier way, and stormed through the sliding door. The live followed because she carried it. Silence thudded down like the cake had. I let it sit. Then I did something small. I found a broom. Cleanup is a language, says we go on. We swept frosting into a dustpan. We plucked strawberries from the mouths of chair legs. Someone dabbed the frosting footprints Riley left on the deck. I saw faint tracks of her heel-toe, how tiny she still is when you erase the noise. Inside, a bedroom door slammed. Then the muffled swell of Riley's voice rising and falling to an invisible audience. The comments, I knew, would be comforting. Strangers offering instant absolution with heart emojis and jokes about toxic families. A fast bomb. A cheap one. We reset the table with cupcakes, which felt like little stubborn moons. I climbed a chair and tapped my plastic cup with a fork. "We are recalibrating," I said. A chuckle rippled, relief disguised as humor. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping. I'm 40 next year, so you're all invited back for the sequel, and we'll order 2 cakes. One decoy." Laughter landed. Permission to unclench. We sang anyway. My wish was not heroic. Patience that lasts longer than frosting. During the chorus, Drone Man drifted toward the gate, phone up, mouth down. Jenna intercepted him. I didn't hear the words, but I saw her face deliver them the way a lawyer hands a judge a precedent. He pocketed the phone, but too late. Things posted travel faster than guilt. After the song, Harper reappeared with a dish towel around her hand like a flag of surrender. "I'm sorry," she whispered, eyes shining. "I shouldn't have tried to." "You did nothing wrong," I said. "You did something hard. That's different." By sunset, the patio looked almost normal, the way a face can look almost fine after a long cry. People trickled out with leftovers and apologies they didn't know me. My mother patted my arm twice, the same way she did when I passed my driving test and when I signed my divorce papers. "I'm here," it says, "I'm here." The house exhaled. Then my phone inhaled. A neighbor I barely know had uploaded the scene. A neat montage, the cake, The pop pop pop, my bedroom. The tray, the slam. Captions did the heavy lifting. When Mom loves the golden child more loudly crying face music, I didn't approve of swelled under our lives. Comments multiplied, identical as fish eggs. The algorithm was setting the table for dessert. I stood in my kitchen with the dish towel still in my hand, listening to Riley perform to strangers 3 rooms away. I looked at the frosting under my nail, at the faint smear of strawberry juice on the sliding door, and I knew this wasn't an episode. It was a pilot. We tried to salvage it. Harper and I scraped frosting off the pavers while the sun slid down the fence like a tired stagehand. I kept cracking jokes about the 5-second rule that sounded brittle in my own mouth. Balsa would pretending to be oak. Riley filmed from the porch, voice pitched low and wounded like a true crime narrator. Every wipe of the sponge, every sigh, became content. "Phone down," I said without looking up. "So Harper can look perfect again?" She shot back, turning the camera on her own trembling lip. She knew her audience. They assign halos and horns by who holds the lens. I ended the party early. People left with foil-wrapped ribs and apologies they didn't owe. Shuffling past Riley, who angled her screen to catch their retreat like the closing credits of a sitcom. Inside, I shut the slider and locked it like I was sealing a crime scene. "Grounded," I said, steady. 2 weeks. No phone, no sleepovers, no sweets. You owe public apologies, to me, to Nana and Pop. I'll help you write them. "You'll cave," she said, and the smirk didn't reach her eyes. Harper padded past us, voice so careful it barely touched the air. "Mom, I'm going to my room." She didn't look at Riley. She moved like a person carrying a full bowl she couldn't spill. That night, the clip hit group chats like a virus with perfect timing. From the living room, I heard the telltale ping-ping of our neighborhood text thread. Then Jenna's chime. Then the long flood of words that turns your phone into a lighthouse you don't want to see. Comments ranged from, "Poor kid," to "Call CPS," to a mother from soccer who offered a licensed therapist she's never actually used but heard amazing things. Mark, my ex, texted from his condo with the cement view. "You made it about control. He is always generous with judgment he doesn't have to live with. She destroyed the cake, Mark. You escalated. She's 12. So am I. Apparently I typed and didn't send. I put the phone face down and stared at the ceiling fan blades until they turned into a gray pinwheel. At 2 a.m., I woke to the pantry door sighing. I found Riley in the dark, spoon deep in the tub of frosting like a mining operation. She didn't startle. We are past startling. "Put it away," I said. "I can't sleep," she said, not looking at me. "Sugar helps." "Sugar helps sugar," I said, and took the spoon. She let go, but with the ceremony of surrendering a passport. In the morning, the house smelled like smoke that wasn't there. The mess was gone, but the memory of it had weight. I made coffee, packed a lunch for Harper she wouldn't eat, made one for Riley she'd bargain over. We were halfway through pretending none of us needed words when Harper's eyes flitted to the little gift bag near the coffee maker, the one she'd tucked under a towel during the chaos. "Open it," she said, hopeful as new paint. I smiled, grateful for a normal gesture. I pulled the towel back and felt the way you do when you step onto a stair that isn't there. Empty space where the bag had been. "Harp." "It was right there," she said, already knowing. "The blue bag." Riley reached for a banana with exaggerated innocence. "What bag?" Harper stood, chair legs screeching. "The watch, Mom. The one I saved for." She didn't say the one I saved for instead of the trip to Chicago with Dad. But the sentence pulsed anyway. Riley rolled her eyes so hard she could have seen last week. "Maybe you misplaced it. You do that." She bit the banana. The sound was violent for such a soft fruit. We fanned out like a search party. Junk drawer, under couch cushions, the laundry room where socks go to decompose. Nothing. Harper's face had the determined blankness of someone refusing to cry because crying would be a gift. I checked Riley's room last because I wanted to be wrong. When I pulled her laundry basket forward, a blue bag winked from under a hoodie. The tiny card with Harper's handwriting. "For every minute you've given me. Love, H. sat on top like a gravestone. The box inside was empty. "Riley," I called, Calm the way an anesthesiologist is calm. She appeared in the doorway, chewing. What? I held up the box. Explain. I don't know, she said automatically, the first language of children and politicians. Where is it? I didn't take it. Your laundry basket says otherwise. Oh my God, she said, anger blooming fast to hide fear. You dig through my stuff now? That's illegal. Being your mother is a series of crimes you'll thank me for when you're 30. I turned the box toward her, hollow as a mouth. Where is it? Her chin rose. Maybe Harper wants attention. The words hit Harper like a slap. She flinched in the doorway behind Riley. Riley. Not a question, not a plea, an elegy. Enough, I said. And there it was. The old teacher voice I swore I'd retire when I left classrooms for copywriting and deadlines that don't cry. You are grounded. And now your phone lives in my desk. If you return the watch today, we handle this as a family. If not, we handle it as theft. Wow, Riley said, laughing without humor. You're calling the cops on your own kid? I'm calling what happened by its name, I said. You stole. You humiliated. You lied. Those are fixable with action, not with lives and likes. She froze at that last word. Lives? Likes? I repeated. And lives, actually. Riley's stare slid past me, over my shoulder, calculating. You can't take my phone. Dad pays for it. Then Dad can pick it up from my desk, I said, and reached out. She slapped the phone into my palm with such force my fingers stung. I hate you. I love you, I said, because one of us had to narrate the true thing. She stormed down the hall and shut her door. Not a slam this time. A press, slow and deliberate, like she was learning control in the way you learn a musical scale. Harper sank onto my bed with the gracelessness of grief. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? I said, sitting beside her. For giving me time? I should have known better than to. She stopped, chewed the inside of her cheek, edited herself. Then to make it visible. I reached for her hand. Gifts are not provocations. Her mouth twitched. Tell Instagram. My desk drawer took the phone like a museum collects artifacts, quietly with a catalog number in my head. I texted Mark. Riley's grounded. Phone with me. We need a united front. Also, watch missing. He replied with the digital equivalent of a shrug. Don't overreact. She's 12. 12 is the moat he lives in. At noon, Jenna sent a screenshot of a TikTok with 1 million views. Riley's cut of the night, color-corrected for maximum woe. The caption. When your mom steals your birthday and your sister steals her heart. I watched the comments climb like ivy. Sympathy looks beautiful when it climbs a wall. It also cracks brick. I opened my laptop. If the internet could narrate us, I could too. I typed statement, then deleted it. I was not going to litigate my motherhood in a comments section. I was going to do something more boring and more dangerous. Build a plan. By dinner, we had normal food on abnormal plates. Riley came out for spaghetti, eyes swollen in the way that always makes me want to wrap her in a blanket and apologize for gravity. She ate silently, then asked, Can I have dessert? No, I said gently. 2 weeks. Remember. She stared at the table, then at me. You'll cave. Watch me, I said, and didn't mean the pun until it landed between us like a shard of the missing gift. That night, after both girls closed their doors, I opened mine and pulled out a shoebox I keep for moments when I need to remember who I am other than a referee. Inside, the divorce decree, a photo of me at 22 in a thrift store dress, a postcard from my dad with advice that still smells like motor oil. I added a new artifact, the empty watch box. Fit too easily. I lay awake counting ceiling fan blades again. Four. In the room down the hall, 2 daughters slept in a house that had gone quiet, but not peaceful. In the morning, I decided we would stop reacting. We would start documenting. We would stop letting other people assign captions to us. And if a gift could vanish, so could an audience. I just had to learn the off switch no one teaches you anymore. By Tuesday, people had traded cake forks for pitchforks. Jenna pinged the cousins thread like a town crier. Ava humiliated Riley. My mother called with the soft voice she uses before a hard opinion. Gentle parenting now, she pleaded, then scolded me for ending the party. You taught her that drama wins. Two thoughts, one breath, both landing on me. Harper packed a bag with surgical quiet. One text from the driveway, I need air. She went to Mark's, leaving a cartoon imprint of herself on the couch cushion that took hours to reinflate. Mark called that night. Reverse the grounding, he said. For optics. For parenting. I said, I won't. He exhaled like a storm door. She looks fragile online. She looks curated. Click. Then Diane, my ex-mother-in-law, announced her remedy on Facebook like a press release. A healing party for Riley. Bowling alley. Neon shoes. Sheet cake with you matter piped in heroic cursive. She invited everyone except the villain of the pilot. Photos bloomed by sunset. Riley beaming, cousins ringing her like a wreath. Diane at her shoulder, eyes lifted in martyrdom. My cousin's caption, real moms show up. Diane slid into my messages with a tidy, you're welcome. Harper sent me a single skull emoji. It said everything it needed to. I stared at a kitchen that smelled like sponge and sugar and realized the original injury. My birthday had been replaced with a referendum on my motherhood. Meanwhile, Riley cruised on validation, posting quotes about toxic families between doe-eyed filters and comments from girls who have already learned how to weaponize tenderness. I did the least theatrical thing possible. I made a list. Secure the narrative at home. Secure the perimeter online. Follow the watch. The watch. I zoomed into Diane's bowling photo to see if Riley's shoelaces were tied. They were. Also visible, on Diane's raised glass hand. A slim silver watch with a pale blue face. The same model Harper had picked after 3 months of babysitting and skipped lattes. My breath went cold in the exact shape of that dial. I checked Harper's crumpled receipt and warranty card from the empty box in my desk. Model number. Serial scratched in tiny digits. I screenshotted Diane's wrist and set the two images side by side. Even pixels have bones. The watch matched. I called Mark. Ask your mother where she got the watch. A pause, then defensiveness, the family's native tongue. She probably bought it. With what good intentions? The serial will answer. Or your mom will. He hung up after promising nothing. 15 minutes later, Diane messaged a new gem. Riley gave it to me. She said she wanted to fix what was broken. You wouldn't understand. I typed, deleted, typed again. Return it by tonight. No caption required. Or I file a police report and the store flags the serial. Theft is theft. Even when you frost it with love. I added a photo of the warranty card like a period. Threats? She replied. Documentation. I spent the afternoon on step 2, perimeter. I emailed the neighbor with the drone a brief, lawyerly note about minors and consent and Ohio's right of publicity. CC'd our HOA because pettiness is a spice but policy is a meal. I filed takedown requests where I could, sent polite DMs where I couldn't, and took screenshots of everything, the comments, the reposts, even my own impulse to defend myself. I locked Riley's Apple ID from my laptop. When Mark texted you can't shut off what I pay for, I replied with our custody clause about electronic privileges at the discretion of the custodial parent. He did not send a skull emoji. He sent silence. At 5, I switched to step 1, the house. I set the dining table like I was expecting company. Cloth napkins, the good plates, 2 clear glasses of water, and a small wooden box with a slot in the lid. A sign? Phones check in here. I wrote do-over on an index card and placed it where the cake had been on Sunday. Not a party. A recalibration. Dinner? I called, not sweetly, not sharp. Riley sloped in, eyes on the wooden box. What's that? Where your phone will live during meals when you get it back. I said. Tonight. It's symbolic. Symbolic is stupid, she said, but she sat. We're doing a do-over, I said. Not a forgiveness ceremony. Just a retry at being a family without an audience. Is Dad coming? She asked, and I heard the anchor hidden in the question. No, this is us. She poked the napkin ring. Is there cake? Spaghetti. And rules. Her mouth twitched. Figures. We ate 3 quiet forkfuls. Then I set the index card between us. I'm going to say some things. You can answer after. New rule. No performance, no diagnosis, no hashtags. She rolled her eyes but didn't reach for a phone that wasn't there. 1. I said. You matter because you exist, not because a cake says so. 2. You don't get the first slice by smashing the whole dessert. 3. Stealing isn't activism. Her face flickered at the last one. I didn't. Stop, I said, gentler than the word. I slid the warranty card across the table. We'll talk when the watch comes home. She stared at the numbers like they were coordinates to a country she didn't want to visit. Mom. Later, I said. Tonight you can choose one thing to fix. Not everything. 1. She looked so small all at once that my bones hurt. I can apologize to Nana, she whispered. On FaceTime. Like not a post. A face. That's a start, I said. Harper deserves one too. She swallowed. I know. We washed dishes without truce or war. Just the neutral clink of plates. After Riley went to her room and shut the door. The quiet that followed wasn't peace, but it wasn't spectacle either, and I put the tiniest flag there. At 8:13, the doorbell. Diane on my porch, composed like a headmistress. She held the watch box the way people hold found kittens, too delighted to be innocent. This got misplaced, she said. Good, I said and stepped aside. Come in. She didn't. I think it's better if I give it to Harper, I said. She bought it. Diane's eyes narrowed. You're making this punitive. I'm making it accurate. Harper appeared at the hall's end, drawn by the gravity of old women and small boxes. Diane's smile brightened. Sweetheart, Riley told me how much this meant to your mom, and Riley stole it, Harper said, voice steady. And you wore it. Diane's mouth opened, then closed like an elevator. She placed the box in Harper's palm, fingers lingering too long, like the last word had to be a touch. We were trying to heal. Try honesty, Harper said, and I saw her father's spine inside my daughter's kindness. When the door clicked shut, Riley emerged, hair mussed, cheeks blotched. Did she bring it? She did, I said, because you will be returning something too. Her eyes were wary. What? The video, I said. All of them, locked and deleted. You'll post a real apology, the kind that names your actions without naming villains. Then you'll log off until school starts. She swallowed. You'll cave. Watch me, I said again, and this time the word didn't cut. Clicked. Outside, night collected itself. Inside, I placed the watch back in its box and slid it toward Harper. She didn't open it. She set it on the mantel like a truce flag and leaned her forehead against my shoulder for 3 seconds, which is longer than it sounds. In the dark, my phone lit the counter. A final message from Diane. Riley needs love, not rules. I typed back, my rules are how love stays. I didn't send it. I didn't need an audience for that line either. Tomorrow there would be fallout and logistics and forms. Tonight, there was a wooden box with no phones in it, a mantle with something honest on it, and a girl down the hall rehearsing a new kind of performance. A private apology, without hearts floating up the screen. By Thursday, the watch did what all cursed objects do. It came back as a link. Facebook Marketplace. Like new, $200, pickup near OSU. The seller's name was a noun with 3 numbers and a profile photo of a torso in Riley's school hoodie, the mascot half-cropped but obvious. The description was lifted wholesale from the manufacturer. The background of the photo was my dining table. I walked to Riley's doorway and knocked. Take it down. She didn't look up from her sketchbook. A page of eyes, all mid-cry. Take what down? The listing. I turned my phone toward her, the watch filling the screen like the moon. $200 and a ride to a stranger. Creative. Her mouth tilted. Diane said I could earn money for counseling. I kept my face still. Diane is not your legal guardian, nor your accountant. Riley's eyes flashed. Fine. It was for concert tickets. So what? Everyone sells stuff. Everyone doesn't sell stolen gifts and photograph them on the victim's table. Oh my God, Mom. The vowels stretched like gum. You'd get me arrested for a watch? I'd prefer you not get yourself arrested, I said. I am asking once. Remove the listing and return the item. If you don't, I file a report. That's not a threat. It's a timestamp. She rolled her whole head, dramatic enough to make the blinds sway. You're obsessed with rules. I am obsessed with truth, I said. Rules are how we hold it. I locked the pantry. I collected spare tablets from couch cushions, turned off the Wi-Fi like I was dimming the sun. I called the store to flag the cereal. I printed the listing and slid it into a clear sleeve, a paper chastity belt. When Mark texted me overreach, he must have smelled the ink. 15 minutes later, Mark arrived like a siren without a car. Chest out, chin up, ready to coach a game he never attends. She's staying with me, he announced from the foyer. Until you calm down. Riley isn't luggage, I said. We're not in court. We are in consequences. He reached for her arm. Riley jerked back with such practiced terror it startled even her. A chair tipped, clattering. Stop snatching me, she screamed, which woke the neighborhood's favorite hobby. I saw 3 curtains lift. A phone angled from a porch like a periscope. Jenna texted me, do not let him take her, as if I had the power to stop a moving river with a measuring cup. The phone call to the non-emergency line came from a neighbor, concerned. 2 officers arrived. One young enough to remember LimeWire, one with the shoulders of a man who has carried too many couches for relatives. They wore the gentleness cops put on in houses with kids. Palms open, voices set to weather report. We got a call, the older one said, scanning the toppled chair, the locked pantry, my laminated patience. Everything okay here? No, I said evenly. But it's non-urgent. We're arguing about a stolen item that keeps escaping its lessons. Riley burst into tears at the word stolen. A sudden downpour. She hates me, she told the younger one. She's taking everything away. The younger officer crouched. I hear you, kiddo. Feeling hated stinks. Feeling corrected can look like that. He glanced up at me. Do you have the item? I showed him the listing, the warranty card, the messages. He whistled softly. Model serial platform. It's all here. It's a watch. Riley sobbed. Strategic volume toggled to maximum. It's not like I robbed a bank. Stealing is stealing, he said gently. Even when you're hurt. Mark paced the doorway like a caged opinion. This is ridiculous. We should de-escalate, he announced, escalating. I'm taking her to my place. The older officer held a palm up. Sir, custodial arrangements are not our arena unless someone's in danger. Is someone in danger? He looked at me. I shook my head. He shifted toward Riley, not unkind. Your mom's got paperwork. If she files on the listing, the platform might cooperate. If she files with us, it becomes bigger than a family argument. Are you sure you want that? Riley hiccuped. In the crack between sobs, I saw calculation. She has always been brilliant at math when the variables are hearts. No charges today, I said. We're drawing lines, not blood. The older officer nodded, relieved. Good. Lines are excellent. However, I added, the listing comes down now. The watch stays. And phones, everyone's phones, are boring for a while. Mark snorted. You can't uninvent the internet. Watch me, I said for the 3rd time in a week, and it lost none of its click. The younger officer stood and addressed Riley with the dignity kids smell like rain after. Part of growing up is figuring out which feelings are real and which actions are wrong. You can be right about being sad and wrong about selling someone else's property. Those can live together. He pointed to the pantry. Locked snacks? That's not the gulag. It's a parent trying. Riley wiped her face with her sleeve, small again for a second. Then she went rigid and slid on her armor. I'm going to Nana's. Diane's sedan ghosted into the driveway like a ride share that thirsts for drama. She didn't bother to park straight. Window down, glasses on a chain she fingered like rosary beads. Riley, darling, she purred, eyes never leaving me. Come with me. We'll get ice cream. Ma'am, the older officer said, polite steel. There's a custody agreement we're not mediating. If the custodial parent says no, it's no. Diane smiled like a teacher passing a failing student. Riley isn't a prisoner. She's a child, I said, who is learning what doors are for. Riley hesitated, looking between us. The officers, Mark simmering, Diane's open car, me with my unglamorous paperwork. I could feel the internet leaning on the windows, hungry. Riley, I said, softer than sense advised. You can leave angry. That's your right. But the listing comes down before you go. And when you come back, you'll write the apology to Harper and Nana. Not a poster. Paragraph. No villains. Just verbs. She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Then, with the sigh of a surrender she could recaption later, she took her phone from my outstretched hand. Thumbed. Deleted. The listing vanished. A tiny, ridiculous victory fireworks behind my ribs. Thank you, the younger officer said, and he meant it like a blessing. That's the grown-up move. Riley marched past us toward Diane's car. Mark followed, muttering about hostile environments and optics. A man trying to paste a press release over a family photo. At the curb, Diane looked at me over her lenses. You're losing your daughter. I'm trying to keep her, I said. The older officer nodded once, as if I had answered a test he'd seen sink other people. Call us if the listing reappears, he said, and they left with the careful, backward steps of men exiting a room full of gas. The house held its breath. I set the watch on the mantel again, object, lesson, witness. I unlocked the pantry, then relocked it, then laughed at myself and left it alone. I changed the Wi-Fi password and taped it inside the wooden phone box like a secret only cooperation could earn. I opened the window. The air smelled like cut grass and something new I couldn't name. In the quiet, Harper texted a single line from Mark's. Did you keep it? Yes, I wrote. For now. A beat. Keep me too. The door was closed. The line was drawn. The edge was visible. I stood on it not to jump, but to measure. Tomorrow I would file what needed filing, write what needed writing, ask for what we actually needed. A therapist who doesn't hand out scripts, a custody schedule that isn't a weather vane, a home where the only audience is the people who live in it. Tonight, the house was small and honest, full of air and paperwork and the sound of a ceiling fan steadying the room. I kept the grounding. 2 weeks wasn't a curse. It was a container. Riley owes written apologies. No sarcasm. No hashtags. No sorry you felt. To Harper and to my parents. She rewrote the first draft 3 times until it named verbs instead of villains. I smashed. I filmed. I sold what wasn't mine. I'm sorry. Restitution is boring by design. Saturday chores for the grandparents she splattered, babysitting for our neighbor's toddler at my elbow, and the money goes not into punishment, but into a little envelope labeled return what you took. Not just the watch, but the minutes she shaved off other people's dignity. Her phone lives in a lockbox now. Not confiscated. Housed. We have a new ritual. She checks it in before dinner, checks it out after homework, and we read the screen time report together like a weather map. The wooden box still sits on the table. The Wi-Fi password is taped inside it like a treaty. When Riley asked, "For how long?" I said, "Until you and the internet stop being gasoline to each other." Therapy is scheduled, real therapy, not the drop her off and pray hour that buys adults a virtue sticker. I'll be in the room for the first 3 sessions, then in the lobby, then back in when the story tries to outrun the facts. I told the therapist on the phone, "We're not here to build alibis. We're here to build breaks." She laughed softly, which I took as a yes. Riley rolled her eyes. She's 12. That's cardio. But she came and she didn't perform for the tissue box. There were tears, and also a question I wrote down because it was the first bend in the road. What do I do when the feeling that I'm invisible is louder than the truth that I'm not? Diane is blocked. I didn't announce it. I just did it. No more hero cakes. No more drive-by wisdom in the form of "you're welcome." Mark can see the girls curbside, per the plan we both signed when we still thought we were better people under pressure. I sent him a bullet point summary, not an essay. He replied, "Noted." I'll take accuracy over affection for now. I apologized to Harper, not for grounding Riley, but for letting 1,000 small harms stack like kindling at her feet. We ate cupcakes at a coffee shop, no candles, plenty of quiet. She said, "Mom, I needed you to choose me in the moment. I didn't defend myself with context or weather." "I hear you," I said, and we let the sentence sit between us like a warm mug you don't have to hold to feel. At home, the neighbor's TikTok faded in 48 hours, as predicted. Shame didn't. It clung in the way smells do after you burn popcorn. Mild, stubborn, a reminder you were careless with heat. I filed 2 takedowns that stuck and 1 that didn't. I stopped doom scrolling at midnight because penitence is not a hobby. When Drone Man jogged past our house and raised a palm, I didn't wave, but I didn't move the curtains either. Visibility isn't always vulnerability. Sometimes it's just a window doing its job. Riley's apologies went out on paper. She read them aloud to my parents on FaceTime. My mother cried the way people do when an apology arrives before bitterness has finished building the guest room. My father asked if Riley knew how to grill chicken yet. She laughed, hiccuping. It was not absolution. It was oxygen. There were new lines. Pantry unlocked during the day, locked at night. Sugar is not a sedative. A feelings first aid kit on the fridge. 5 things you can do before you open a camera. Breathe box-shaped, drink water, step outside, write a complaint you'll never send. Find the dog and tell him a secret. She called it corny. She used it twice. Mark tried one last time to parry consequence with optics. "Can't she post a healing video instead?" he asked, as if cinematography could be therapy. "No," I said. "She can post nothing and feel something." He didn't text back. When he picked Riley up on Friday, he stayed in the car. Curbside works like a spell if both people believe in the curb. Harper came home Saturday with a stack of library books and a posture I hadn't seen in months. Loose, not hunting for fallout. We made eggs. Riley drifted into the kitchen like a truce, hair unbrushed, eyes not swollen. She asked if she could whisk. I handed her the bowl like a flag I was ready to lower if she was ready to raise hers. We ate at the table with the wooden phone box between us, empty as a promise kept. The watch sits on my wrist now. It is small and practical, a blue coin that tells me I have 60 seconds at a time to choose who I am. When I catch it in the light, I see the whole week, like a documentary I survived. Cake, pop, 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 the slammed door, the patrol car, Diane's window, the wooden box. I also see what didn't make it to anyone's feed. Harper's head leaning on my shoulder for 3 seconds. Riley putting the frosting back in the pantry at 2 a.m. without being asked 2 nights later. Me deleting a paragraph I wrote to defend myself to people who don't live here. I'm not calling the cops over a child's spiral. I will if the line is crossed again. The report is half filled out in a folder labeled for when love needs teeth. It's not a threat. It's an adult keeping track of the difference between a mistake and a pattern. Here's what I know now. Public scenes don't start in public. They start in the little places we excuse. The harmless snoop through a sister's drawer, the joke candle blown out, the cupcake stolen because sugar makes everything a poem. Repair is slower than rage. It asks for hands, not hashtags. Boundaries are not cruelty. They're the fence that keeps your garden from becoming someone else's shortcut. A do-over isn't a party. It's dishes, and a wooden box, and a girl practicing how to apologize without an audience. Next year, if I celebrate at all, it'll be a tiny dinner, 3 plates, maybe 4 if Jenna remembers she loves me more than a group chat. No cameras, just forks. I'll make a wish that isn't a wish. Patience that outlasts spectacle. Afterward, I'll wash the dishes, set the watch on the windowsill, and listen to the house be only what it is. No soundtrack, no captions. Just the quiet tick of time I get to spend on purpose, in a room with 2 daughters who know where the off switch lives.